Alright, how's she going, eh? So you're done polishing your crank in the garage. Now it's time to lube the pig iron prick up and put her in the hole. So this is what I do. Make sure everything's clean. Make sure it's very clean under your bearings. You don't want anything in there. I check the bearing clearance with plastic gauge, and it's at 32 10,000ths. So just a blonde cunt hair over 3,000ths of an inch, which is better than good as far as I'm concerned. Very happy with that. She's a little on the loose side, but that's what we like. Alright, so lube up your bearings, lube up your crank, but make sure the bearings are clean underneath. I use SDP, and that's all I'm going to use. And if I didn't have SDP, to be honest, people are probably going to have smoke come out their ears, but I'd use Vaseline if I didn't have SDP. And there's nothing wrong with that either. But yeah, I used SDP because I had it, and that's my go-to. So what you want to do is take all your bolts down. Just snug, like just over kind of hand tight. And once you get your bolts all cranked down, tap the crank back with a hammer, and then beat it like a red-headed stepchild forward. Boom. And the reason you're doing that is because the thrust bearing, the torque converter or clutch, is going to put thrust on it forward. So you want the prick set forward when you torque her down. So for a Magnum, it's 2 steps. I usually always do everything in 2 or 3 steps regardless what it says. So I torqued it down to 20 pounds, starting in the middle and working out. And then I went to 85. Oh, and for your rear main seal, I just put them in even. Some guys say have them clocked off. I just put them in even. I've never had an issue. But I put a good gob, well, not a gob, but light film I should say, of RTV black under the bearing caps where the rear main seal is on both sides. And I like to torque it down while it's soft because it'll just kind of squish out and it'll just fill in any imperfections, because sometimes people think the rear main's leaking, and no, it's leaking out the machining surface of the bearing cap. So that's all a guy needs to do. You can see how a little bit squished out, but you don't go overboard with her, eh? Anyhow, that's what I do. So now that your crank is set forward, your rear main's installed right, it's got some lube on the seal like SDP. Then I torque her down to the first stage of 20 and then second stage of 85. When she's torqued down to 85, this is a trick that I just learned, and I have no idea why I never thought of it before, because it's 100% true. First responder garage said this. Once you get her torqued down, take a hammer and give each head a good friggin' whack. And don't be delicate, give it a good one. And what happens is sometimes when you're torquing, it just goes as far as it does, and it's because the threads are binding. So when you give it a whack with a hammer, it kind of pushes the bolt down and lets the threads release tension on each other, and then retorque it again. You'll get a little bit out of each one. And I should have known this, because when I do bolt up at work on flanges and shit, I don't care how bad the fit up. If I can get a pin bar in, that sucker's getting bolted together. And sometimes you're trying to suck and bend pipe and stretch and everything, and you just can't get her, and then you beat the shit out of the bolt a bit, and it releases the pressure, and you'll get a little more out of it, and you just keep beating and keep cranking, and eventually you'll get the prick. But no, we're looking good here, so I'm going to start doing piston rings, I think, today. And I'm going to gap the first and second ring, both at 34 thousandths of an inch. There's a lot of, I do them both the same, and reason being, there's a lot of guys that say gap the top ring heavier than the second, because that's the one that's going to see heat, and that makes sense. But it can also trap pressure in between your first and second ring, because the second one has less gap. So other guys will say, no, you want to gap the second one more to release pressure in between the 2 rings. So I say gap them both the same and you're good to go. So anyhow, she's all torqued down, she's lubed, and I'm going to start using my new piston filer my brother got me for Christmas, and get the rings all situated nice like. Alright, have a good one. Till next time.